If your organization manufactures, distributes, or imports products inside of the European Union or provides services inside of the European Union, then the European Accessibility Act can potentially apply to your organization. And that is what I wrote about in this blog post on the screen with me, titled Does the EAA Apply to United States Companies? Potentially. And when does it apply? When you act as an economic operator who offers products or services inside of the European Union market. So, again, if you're a manufacturer, if you're an importer, if you're a distributor, or if you're a service provider, you want to pay special attention to the European Accessibility Act and you want to study it to make sure you know about all of the obligations and the technical requirements. And that's a good way to think about the European Accessibility Act, is to divide it into two parts. One part is really the administrative or the documentation side, the paperwork side of the European Accessibility Act. The other is the technical requirements for accessibility. And the administrative side, you're going to find that in the first part of the directive, and then the technical requirements are going to be in the second part. So the first part is comprised of articles, and then the second part is annexes. And so you'll want to read through the details. I will include a link to an accessible.org summary of the European Accessibility Act. But for now, I'm going to scroll down this blog post, and I have some really nice examples of scenarios where the EAA is going to cover you as an economic operator. But I'm going to go ahead and scroll past that. And by the way, I'll link to this blog post in the description as well. But I'm going to scroll down to a section called Legal Basis. And it states the EAA does not restrict its application to companies domiciled in the European Union. Instead, it looks to the placement of products or provision of services in the EU market. This includes cross-border service provision and e-commerce. Now, there are some exemptions, there are some exceptions under the European Accessibility Act. We haven't gone over everything. I just want to cover this broadly because right now, different entities are wondering, am I covered under the European Accessibility Act? And you potentially maybe, if you fall under, if you act as an economic operator and you are offering products or services in some form or fashion inside of the European Union marketplace. So this blog post will help give you a really good feel for whether the EAA applies to you. Just keep in mind that there's an exemption, a potential exemption for micro enterprises. But micro enterprises are potentially covered, even though you might think they're not covered. So the EAA does have some important details to go over on accessible.org. I've been writing about the EAA for months, and so I'm posting more and more on this channel, and I've got something really helpful for compliance that is coming very, very soon. And this is something that is not seen anywhere. Nobody has this. This is something I'm working on right now. I will announce it on this channel. I expect it to be completed in 10 days, but it is something that's really, really going to help with compliance. But you do need to be aware of the details, because there are details, there are exceptions. So you need to be aware of the directive itself. And by the way, I don't have the directive on the screen with me, but I will go ahead and link to that so you can read through the actual source documentation. But I will include that summary so that you can start to familiarize yourself with the EAA. Again, remember that to think of it in two parts. One part is more administrative and documentation and paperwork, more on that side, more of knowing what your obligations are. The other is the technical side, where we are making our assets accessible. So we are making sure that people with disabilities can access our different assets in any number of ways. So that's going to be the technical side that's going to be found in the annexes, and that's going to be in the latter half, the second part really of the European Accessibility Act. So I will include those links in the description.